Hey everyone, welcome to Wise Skies. We have a really interesting workshop by Victoria Belue on dreams as a way to enhance your psychic development. And so I have seen her slides and I'm so excited. I'm sure some of you heard the podcast. And tonight she's going to go through her slides and you'll be able to ask her some questions at the end. Victoria Belue is a metaphysician and spiritual alchemist. She has studied and engaged in the practice of tarot reading and dream analysis for 30 years. I know, hard to believe with that gorgeous face on there. And her other metaphysical work includes numerology and Western astrology. You know her because I used to write for her magazine. She's the owner and publisher of Astrology magazine. You can find that at astrologicmagazine.com, and I'll put it in the chat. And she's also the author of the urban fantasy series called The Tarot Legacies, which are available through Amazon's and Barnes and Noble. Victoria's life focus is to continue learning and sharing her knowledge to help others live at their highest potential. And she gave us some books for suggested reading that I'm also going to pop into the chat. So I'll make sure that you have all of her contact info if anybody wants readings or psychic analysis, dream analysis, so that you'll be able to find her. But tonight, I'm going to take the spotlight off of me. And Victoria, we can't wait to learn from you. Thank you so much for teaching us tonight.
Oh my gosh, I'm really thrilled to be here. So I was going to just share my screen with everyone, and Tiffany, you may have to help me with how I get over to that, because I have it full screen right now, but I don't know how to exit. I'm sorry.
Can you hit escape or minimize the screen a little bit?
There we go. Escape. All right. Shall I just share my screen?
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep, it looks great.
All right. So let's get over here to the slideshow. All right. So you guys, I'm going to jump right in because there is a lot of information to cover about dreams and even what we're doing tonight. As I was putting this together, putting the finishing touches on this today, I realized there is so much more that I could include, so much more detail that I could go into. But this is just an introduction. It's a good introduction, but you'll see that there's a lot more that could actually come from this. So I wanted just to begin to let you know, I mean, we're all made of dreams. We know that, right? And that actually, of course, is a quote by William Shakespeare that he made more than 400 years ago from his play, The Tempest. He said, quoting the bard, he said, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub, for in this sleep of death, what dreams may come. That's from Hamlet. And then, of course, maybe his most famous quote about dreams, he had over 24 of them. He said, we are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleeve. Again, that's from The Tempest, and that's Prospero talking. So, we humans have always dreamed when we sleep, and we've always tried to make sense of those dreams. In this class tonight, I'm going to show you the most current scientific research on dreams and the most comprehensive look at the meaning of our dreams and how they can guide us to eliminate our greatest fears and achieve our highest goals. And yes, I realize that's a bold statement, but it's true. Okay, so here's a brief history. It's the oldest language of humankind, dream language, the language of our mind, right? 2000 BCE, which is now 4,000 years ago, The very first dream was recorded. It's called the Epic of Gilgamesh. And in it recounts a dream that he has about being in a great battle. And so this dream was actually recorded on a clay tablet in what is now known as cuneiform. And in addition to being in this battle, he dreamt about a meteor, and his mother actually interpreted it. So she was the first dream interpreter ever to have been recorded. And she told him it was meaning that he would meet a future companion, who he soon does. And then the companion goes about interpreting the rest of his dreams as they journey forward toward the forbidden forest. So my point here is that dreams have played a part in our culture, really all of our lives. Even before this Epic of Gilgamesh was written, I'm sure that people were communicating their dreams, and then of course, Homer uses dreams as a plot device in the Iliad. And then, as I mentioned, Shakespeare mentions dreams more than 24 times, and ancient texts from Sumeria and Egypt detail dreams as messages from the gods. And, then of course, there are all of the oracles that we learn about from ancient Greece. Hundreds of written references from other ancient cultures. China and Japan speak about dreams. Then the oral references from the indigenous tribes in the Americas and Africa have always included dreams in their tales. And they continue to be a major inspiration in all the art forms that we study today in scientific and analytical areas. So I'm going to just give you a brief, some brief background on the science behind dreams. And this comes from a very recent book that I read, I guess it was last year, and it's called When Brains Dream by Antonio Zadra and Robert Stickgold. These guys are scientists, so they really, in my opinion, they don't have a lot of imagination. Most scientists that I've ever encountered don't. They go strictly by what they understand and can be proven as fact. But nevertheless, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. They define dreams as any mental experience that occurs during sleep. That's pretty dry, but it includes thoughts, feelings, images, and the sensations, the five senses. Here's some more interesting information. We dream in all stages of sleep, not just REM sleep, but we dream more consistently in REM, and that's when we have the most complex dreams. And our dreams are actually different from one sleep stage to another, from early to late night, or it would be really early morning before we wake up. They say there are stages of sleep called the hypnagogic, which are the stages that hypnagogic is the stage that leads us into sleep and out of sleep. So it's kind of that twilight area. Then they label stages of sleep as N1, 2, 3, and then REM, which of course is rapid eye movement. They say we dream 2/3 of our sleep time and that we don't remember most of our dreams. The necessity of sleep from a biological view. Number one, it regulates the insulin in our bodies and the antibody production. It cleans out waste products from our brain. And in children, it secretes growth hormones. So it's really, sleep is really important for us. Okay. So it says that sleep allows us to process daily events in a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 hours of waking activity equals 1 hour of sleep. So what happens is the brain consolidates info in a process involving the synthesis of new proteins, which connects with nerve cells, a nerve cell network forming the basis of memory. So this is how memory is created. And sleep plays a major role in that process, as well as in forming our sense of self. So already you can see the necessity of not only sleep, but good sleep and the hours of sleep that we need. And according to these scientists, we need between 7 and 9 hours every night of sleep. Some of us need 7, some of us need 8, some of us need 9, but right there is the sweet spot. So if you're only getting maybe 6 hours of sleep a night, that's probably consistently 6 hours or less, you're not getting enough rest. You're not allowing all of those things to process in your brain that needs to happen. And if you're sleeping too much, that's also not really good for you, according to them. So something else that I found interesting is that when you are asleep, if you are trying to learn something, especially involving sequences, sleep is going to improve your performance. So especially if you're trying to learn a foreign language, which is something that I love doing. I'm always trying to improve on my French. I will actually fall asleep and take a nap listening to something in French. And supposedly this has helped me. And I just think that's a wonderful way to do it. And also naps can be beneficial in problem solving. So we have that to work with as well. Okay, so Zadra and Stickgold say, whatever the function of dreams each night, they don't depend on us remembering them. And again, this is coming from two scientists. And so that's what their assessment is of this. I have an asterisk after their quote because I really have to add this. I've studied dreams for 30 years, not only from the scientific aspect, but from the metaphorical metaphysical aspect as well. And here's what I can tell you. No, the function of dreams may not depend on us remembering them, all of them, but we really benefit if we do remember them and decode them. The same or similar synthesis of proteins connecting with nerve cells for memory is also telling us what our subconscious is understanding from the previous day. Imagine how our dreams could help us evolve if we could remember and decode our dreams. That's the premise. And so then there is a quote that, actually 2 quotes here from their book, that kind of alludes to what I'm saying here without them completely agreeing with me. And their quotes are, your dreams will usually contain sensory perceptions, a narrative structure, and emotions, and they'll have you as a player in the dream. They will juxtapose weakly associated concepts and events that you wouldn't normally think of going together, often giving your dreams a bizarre flavor. And their content will be related to your current concerns, usually with some connection to memories worth exploring in the context of these ongoing concerns. Then they finally say, dream imagery, much like spoken language, films and stories can be figurative and metaphorical in nature. So again, without them really agreeing with what my premise is, they are kind of agreeing with it because they recognize that we do have these narratives that play out that do connect to our current situations. And that there are thoughts and feelings involved. And so, here we have it. So let's move on from the science of it into some actual facts here. Many Nobel Prize winners attribute their ideas to dreams. There are really, I mean, it's a pretty dry subject, again, because a lot of it is science related and math related. But yes, a lot of Nobel Prize winners have made those attributions. Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, dreamt of Google and then began putting action behind the dream in order to eventually create what we are on right now. Mary Shelley dreamt the plot of Frankenstein, and then she wrote it down the next day. Paul McCartney dreamt the melody of Yesterday. And there's a story that I've heard him tell in a biography that I saw of him, where he says that he woke up and heard the melody and began playing it on the piano just so he wouldn't forget it, because he said it was just beautiful and I loved it. And he began playing it then for all of the other Beatles, and but there were no words to it at that point. And he kind of drove the other three Beatles crazy with this melody that he kept playing with. And finally, it was John Lennon who said, you have to put some words to that song because you're driving us crazy listening to this over and over again. And that's how, you know, this classic song Yesterday came to be. So Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, and Salvador Dali used naps and drifting off to sleep to solve problems and instill creative ideas. Einstein conceived E equals mc squared, the theory of relativity, from a dream. And he, again, has attributed that dream to finally coming up with the theory of relativity. President Abraham Lincoln dreamt of his assassination 2 weeks before he was assassinated. And this was not the first time that he had had a dream about this. So his dream was a premonition. And we are going to go on into talking about the different types of dreams. But first, let me just say, dreams are the way our subconscious mind speaks to us when we are the most receptive, and that is when we are asleep. Countless studies show humans share this common dream language, and this language is symbolic. Now, with that being said, each dreamer must refine these symbols. And what I mean by that, let's take, for example, you dream of a horse, which horses represent habits in dreams, as do almost every animal. But if you have a fear of horses, let's say, if you were kicked by a horse at some point in your life and you just have this fear of horses, then that image, that symbol is going to be altered slightly for you. And that's why you begin with this common symbolic language and then refine it once you get, once you have the narrative together, which means all of the symbols together. And you tweak it until you understand intuitively, yes, this is what this dream means. But we can talk about that a little bit more later. So symbols are general in nature, as I said, with some exceptions. When a non-physical entity is communicating with you, which that does happen sometimes in dreams, when you're experiencing a premonition, and when you are lucid dreaming. So dreams codify, and this is okay. So, and I will go into all of that in just a minute as well, but here's what is really so important for you to understand. Dreams codify our deepest truths. They don't pull any punches, and you have to be ready for that when you start decoding your dreams. These images that you dream of are chosen by your subconscious, and they represent how we are being affected mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And they reflect how we are currently dealing with a certain situation in our waking life. And it all revolves around what aspects of ourselves are involved in this situation. And I know that's kind of complex and it may not make sense yet, but it will. So, types of dreams. Symbolic dreams are by far 99% of our dreams are symbolic. And again, here are the exceptions. Psychics and other sensitives who have trained for visitation and or premonition, I'm sure have a much higher rate of other types of dreams than symbolic. Another exception are people who have trained for astral projection, which I don't go into any further tonight because it's not really about dreaming, but just briefly, astral projection is where you have trained yourself to connect with non-physical entities when you go to sleep. And so you're not actually dreaming, you are interacting with, your energetic frequency is interacting with other frequencies, across all time and space. And astral projection is a huge topic in of itself. But anyway, so that's another exception. A third are people who have trained for lucid dreaming. So I'll go into what lucid dreaming is also coming up. So the second type of dreams, premonition. This is where we're talking your psychic work, your psychic study, because it's talking about non-local reality, clairvoyance, right? Clear seeing. And so that is definitely a type of dream. And depending upon your abilities and what you have been trained to do, you could have a significant percentage of your dreams being premonition. You can teach yourself to have premonition dreams. You can train yourself to do that. There are also visitation dreams from entities that were previously in physical form. And how do you know that? When you have your mother in a dream and she's passed, or your grandmother, and you're not sure if it's a visitation or they actually represent an aspect of you. Well, when it's a visitation, their lips are not moving when they're talking to you. And the reason for that is because you're communicating telepathically. She is communicating with you telepathically. If you see their lips move in a dream, then that's the indication that it is one of these symbolic dreams that I mentioned above. Another type of visitation, the type where you're being visited by entities which were never in a physical form. Okay, let's move into lucid dreaming. That is consciously controlling your dreams. And I know that some people really love lucid dreaming, but it is not a good thing to do, especially on a consistent basis, because, and I go into this further in tonight, but it's not allowing your subconscious to do what it needs to do, which is relay messages, important messages to your conscious mind. Especially if you're controlling them, because that is your conscious mind coming in and disrupting. It's like disrupting a timeline. It's really not good for us. So another type of dream, psychic attacks, nightmares, the top hat man. These, when you have dreams, unfortunately, when people have dreams like this, it is because someone has invaded your space. And is it possible to do that? Oh, yes. I have had someone do that to me, not in a dream, but in just my waking reality. And it was a very bizarre feeling. And so, yes, when you are very vulnerable and asleep, that is when you can have these entities, these psychic attacks happen. Now, not all nightmares are psychic attacks, and I'll tell you the difference about those coming up. So this last kind of dream, a request for psychic insight, and this actually, I added this just yesterday when Tiffany and I were talking, because she had requested psychic insight for a group she was speaking to recently, and it came to her, and in a very real and fabulous way. And so I was just amazed and really happy to understand that there is this way, especially when you have trained, as I said up at the top, where psychics and other sensitives have trained for visitation. That is what Tiffany and perhaps other psychics and mediums have done. And she has done it really well, to the point that, yes, you can actually get answers to your questions through your dreams. So let's keep going here. All right, lucid dreaming. When you change something in your dream, you change something in the inner levels of your consciousness. Here's what I mean. So sometimes it happens by accident that you lucid dream. And I'm sure probably all of you have had this happen, that you're dreaming and you begin realizing you're dreaming. And so you have this awareness that you're dreaming. Well, some people take this a step further and begin trying to control the dream. So what happens by doing this? This is why I'm really not for it unless you have really trained with someone who knows exactly what they're doing. You're tampering with this inner level of manifestation. You are altering the course of thoughts already set into motion. You're changing the structure, quality, and elements of what's going on there. And your original thoughts about the subject cease to exist. New thought structure will manifest until it raises up into your conscious awareness. So it's, you put this, you introduce, you have the narrative that's happening in your dream. You become lucid, meaning you become consciously aware that you're dreaming, and you decide, oh, I'm going to change what's happening right now. And that has a ripple effect. Unskilled tampering, changing, can have really serious consequences. It can alter or obliterate healthy, positive habits. It can create bad habits, bad attitudes, bad behavior. It has the potential to initiate mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual trauma. And I have an example for you that happened. One of my teachers, Dr. Barbara Condren, was holding a lecture about dreams, and this has been at least 20 years ago. But one of the people in the audience, a young man, said, oh, I lucid dream, and I was dreaming that there was a tiger. And so I just created a dream gun, and I shot and killed the tiger. And he seemed really very impressed with himself. And Dr. Condren asked him, she said, well, tigers, animals represent habits. What habit in your life did you extinguish? And he thought about it and came back to her later, and he said, no longer with this proud, expression on his face. And he said, I think the tiger represented the fact that I used to run 5 miles a day. And I no longer can. I get winded. I just can't manage to run 5 miles a day. And so what this guy had done unconsciously by shooting his dream tiger was to take away his habit of running. And it illustrates the point that I really want to make here. Now, if you really want to get into lucid dreaming, there is the potential that you can benefit from this. But you really need to be trained on how to do it correctly. Because as I said, you're going to have ripple effects, which can take a toll on you, and you don't even realize it at first. So there's my lecture on lucid dreaming. All right.
Hey, Victoria, this is so great. And I just like to give all of our speakers the halftime mark. And so I can't believe we're at 6:35, but I just like to do that as a courtesy. So keep going.
Should I speed up?
Maybe a little.
Okay, sorry. All right.
That's okay.
I got off track with the lucid dreaming, but
I love it. It was such a great example. I don't want to shoot my dream tiger or any animal, so it was great.
Okay, subtypes of dreams, recurring dreams. We all have recurring dreams. Your subconscious really wants you to understand the message when you're having a recurring dream. I mean, it is basically screaming, hey, hey, hey. Your dream will stop. You'll stop having that once you take positive action consciously or unconsciously, because sometimes we will unconsciously take action. We don't even know it. Nightmares. These are ignored recurring dreams. Your subconscious creates more alarming images and scenes to get attention. Nightmares stop once you take action, either consciously or unconsciously. Occasionally, reality aspects do get interwoven into this, but again, that's not really common. All right, dream symbols, common scenes that you have. Flying, your teeth are falling out, you're naked in public, you're taking a test you haven't studied for, you're having sex with someone other than your partner, you're being chased, or you're trying to dial a phone, but the call won't go through. I bet everybody has had at least one, if not all of these. Let's take the dreams of an ex-partner. We've all had these. It's a need, when this happens, it's a need to use and express certain qualities you specifically associate with that person. And this is when no one presently in your life reflects that quality. Your subconscious pulls information stored in your brain from an earlier time to convey the message. And the same goes for when you dream of your childhood home. It just puts you back into that place, that time. Almost every dream is about the dreamer. And almost every person in a dream is an aspect of you. The same sex is a conscious aspect. The opposite sex is a subconscious aspect. A dream person qualities represent those qualities in you. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say you are dreaming about your friend from high school that you haven't seen in 15 years, but suddenly there she is. And you're thinking, why am I dreaming about her? Well, if you were to describe her to me, what would you say about her? Well, she's really kind and she has a great sense of humor. She's very generous. Okay, there we go. That means that that person in your dream is representing a kind, generous aspect of you. Unknown people in your dreams represent unrealized aspects of you. And so what happens is that you look at this person, recognize the qualities that are being represented. Is this person aggressive? Are they fearful? This is representing an aspect of you that you haven't realized in yourself. at this point. Okay, your subconscious mind wants you to understand how these aspects of you are handling a certain situation in your conscious life. And as I said earlier, dreams are brutally honest. Honesty in the evaluation, once you begin decoding them, is essential. You honestly won't get any benefit out of your dreams if you cannot honestly say, yeah, that dream is pointing to my bad habit of doing this, maybe shopping on the internet or whatever it is. If you can really admit, yep, that's what it's doing and that's what I do, then you can change your life, and the dream will stop happening and you can really move forward. Okay, people, places, things, and dreams. Dream people or aspects of the true you. Show the qualities you use in each division of your mind. As I said, conscious is same sex, subconscious is opposite sex. Superconscious represent authority figures, and it signifies your spiritual growth. Authority figures can be anyone. It can be your mother, your father, the Queen of England, a police officer, anyone who would qualify as some sort of authority is representative of you being in your superconscious mind, which is the highest level, by the way. We have our conscious at the bottom, we have our subconscious in the middle, and then our superconscious is our highest. Dream places express the level of consciousness and attitude that you have. If you're dreaming of a house, you're dreaming of some aspect of your mind. If you're in a bathroom in your house, you're dreaming about cleaning out something, getting rid of something. You're in that attitude of getting rid of things. If you're in a hospital, you're in the attitude of taking care, of treating something, of making something healthy and whole. Dream things express what aspects are using to express themselves. Phones, of course, represent communication. Let's see, teeth represent not assimilating the knowledge you're learning, and actually food represents knowledge. And I can go into all of that later. See, I told you guys, this is really, this is like 4 or 5 classes here. Unidentified people, places, things are unidentified aspects of you. If you dream of UFOs or being on another planet, you are in effect dreaming of these unknown aspects of you and of you being in an unknown place that's unknown to yourself. All right. Conscious aspects reflects the way you think when you are consciously awake. It reflects the way you tend to deal with life day to day. Subconscious reflects your true feelings and understanding, and reflect the stage of development you're currently at mentally and emotionally. Superconscious reflects the spiritual place you're currently at. Okay, here we go. How to decode a dream. You record your dream the moment you awaken. You write it down on paper, or for me, I record it on a voice app. Things to notice if you can. Are you watching the scene unfold, or are you actively participating in it? There is a difference. And if you guys focus on this the next time you remember a dream, think about it. Are you just watching it like you're watching a movie, or are you really in there participating? Note the people, places, activities, sounds, colors, feelings, taste, and smells. Yes, there will be tastes and smells in there sometimes. Don't be concerned about any of it making sense as you're recording it. Just get it all down immediately. And don't be embarrassed by what you're doing or who's in the dream. I can't stress that enough. Each dream must be decoded symbol by symbol, beginning with a general meaning. You can refine it later into specifically what that means for you. Decoded symbols are linked into a narrative. Don't be concerned if the message isn't clear yet. All right, well, dream incubation. This is a little bit of an involved process that we can I'll go through it very briefly. But this is how you can ask your subconscious, your dreaming mind, a question and get a really good answer. So it's a process, though. As I said, you have to identify the problem. You have to develop a well thought out question. You have to engage in a ritual. Yes, I know that some people are turned off by rituals, but that's anything that you feel like creating. It could be, you know, taking a walk. It could be a ritual, whatever works for you. Speak the dream out loud, say it silently to yourself. Fall asleep, have a dream, and then record it and decode it. Okay, this is way too much information for you right now, but these are the types of questions you can ask that will give you the answers that you're seeking. And this is a lot of detail, but there's a lot of good information in here that, since Tiffany's recording this, you guys can probably play it back and hit the pause button and go through all of this. But if you're serious about asking a question to really see what kind of answer you get and get a really good, helpful answer, then you need to look at this page. Okay. You ask open-ended questions, things like, how can I lose weight? What does it look like for me to take this job? Decide on how you want to address the dream. It's up to you. Write down your question. Here's the ritual thing. It can be anything as long as it resonates with you. It can be earlier in the day. It doesn't have to be right before you go to bed. Go to sleep. Ask the question once or many times. Then again, record your dream and decode it. Work with those symbols. Include the emotions you feel as you're recording the dream. That's really, really important. Then see if you have, any thoughts about the dream while you're dreaming it. Then you link the symbols together into a narrative. You think about the message. You connect it to your previous day, because almost always what you are dreaming about is related to something that happened the previous day. It could be something big, it can be something small, but it was enough that your subconscious mind really wanted you to tune in and wanted you to become aware of it. And that's why the dream was created. Okay, so once you've decoded this dream, you create an action plan and put it into action in your daily life. And this is how you problem solve, right? This really, and I have done this. I have had some real success with putting my decoded dreams, putting together an action plan, and understanding what I needed to work on and doing it. You can also use the tarot. Now, you guys, I'm guessing know that Tiffany reads tarot, I read tarot, and I created a method of consulting the cards after decoding my dream to see what they had to say, because again, it's all our subconscious energy that's in play there, and consistently there's a correlation between tarot and my dream when I consult the tarot. Also use automatic writing. I just love doing automatic writing. The most amazing things come as a result of doing that. And then synchronicity, noticing the synchronicity that's happening in your life. Again, I could do an entire class on that, because it happens to us every single day. And when you really pay attention to it, you can understand all of the guidance that is available to you to really help you see what's going on and to help you get to where you want to be. Okay, dreams about health. I usually have when I work with my clients, there are almost always dreams about health. cars symbolize your body in dreams. If someone of the opposite sex is driving the car in your dream, this represents that your subconscious is aware of what's going on health-wise. If you or someone of your same sex is driving, then it represents you have a conscious awareness of what's going on in your body. Dreams about health usually appear 3 months before physical symptoms. Why? Because dreams manifest in our inner levels of consciousness. Time, distance, length away from the physical, that it takes time for this to, as I was saying, become conscious. When I was talking about changing your dreams by lucid dreaming, it takes time once you make that change for it to actually manifest in your physical life. Well, it's the same thing of when your dreams are telling you, yeah, here's something going on in my physical body. It usually takes about 3 months for these physical symptoms to appear. By decoding a health dream, you can take action before those symptoms arise. Dreams and your psychic ability. All right. You establish a connection between your soul and your conscious life with dreams. And for psychics and mediums, it reinforces this connection. The reinforcement widens the channel, making more frequent, powerful connections, and the ability to recognize symbols from dreams and waking reality as messages. This is part of that synchronicity that I was referring to. Dreams, psychic abilities, all supernatural and supernormal abilities reside in your subconscious. That's why, again, bringing tarot in, bringing automatic writing in just enhances your depth of understanding of what your dream message is. And strengthening your ability in one area, like learning to decode your dreams, strengthens your ability, your psychic ability. It strengthens all of your abilities in your supernatural and supernormal ways. Decoding dreams frequently leads to increased psychic awareness without even trying. Okay, you guys, there we go. I know that was a lot of information. I'll just stop sharing my screen here. I know that was a lot, but it can change your life. To dive into all of this, it can change your life in the most amazing ways. It will eliminate your greatest fears and help you achieve your highest goals.
Victoria, this is awesome. I took so many notes and so many bullet points and nuggets of things that I had never even thought about before. So thank you for sharing so much that you've learned. Do you have a little time to do a sample analysis?
Oh,
Yeah.
sure. I would love to.
Okay, Raji, you were here first. If you're able to hear us and you want to share something, do you want to
Yes,
share? Okay.
yes, because I
Okay,
had really wild experience last week.
cool.
I had a dream that I was on a road trip and all of a sudden I had to pee. And I stopped by what turned out to be my mother's house. It was not my mom's house though. She's still alive and we see each other almost every day. It was my grandmother's house. And inside of it, I was greeted by somebody dressed almost as like a Pan Am stewardess in their heyday. And she had to show me where the bathrooms were because they were having a massive mid-century art and furniture sale at my grandmother's. And there were pieces that I absolutely remembered. And then there were pieces out of my dream world. I collect mid-century, and these were things that I've never seen, but I've wished for, And then all of a sudden I heard my sisters laugh. And so I went down this hallway and it turned into the 70s. And there was a giant, that Jack in the Box, like scary clown thing popped out at me. And my sister said, "Why are you even here?" And I said, I just had to pee. And then I woke up and I did have to pee. And then a couple of days later, I was on this road trip, and I meant to stop in Palm Springs to see if I could find any treasures, but they were having just the most hellacious storm. So I continued on to Los Angeles, and I decided to go see the show that was at LACMA. I had no idea what show it was. I just hadn't been there in a long time. And it turned out to be all of these artists, mostly from New Mexico, from the mid 1930s. And all of their artwork was artwork that I had seen in the dream. And it looked futuristic for the 30s. It looked like 50s and 60s. And all of these artists shared in common that they were spiritually very, very heightened and very different than the contemporary artists of the time. And so they actually formed this kind of group in New Mexico where they could pursue spirituality and metaphysics, and then also painting.
Are you talking about Max Ernst? Was he among these
He
artists?
was, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, incredibly fascinating dream. And there is synchronicity involved there, right? Where you went to the museum and saw the artwork that was in your dream.
How is that even possible, though?
Oh, it happens. That's what I'm saying. It happens all the time. We're just usually unaware of it. I mean, that was a big one for you. You couldn't miss it. But when synchronicity happens like that, you must understand that there's a reason for it, to call your attention to it. I mean, it really is. When you have two things come together that seem to be so unconnected, but they are connected, it's really important for you to understand there's a reason, there's a message there for you. Now, for it to be in your dream like that, the fact that you have to go to the bathroom, that you have to pee, that represents turning loose of eliminating something from your life that you're.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's all about getting rid of something that is no longer serves you, maybe never served you, but it's your subconscious saying, yes, you need to get rid of this. And so, because now your dream was so long, so you were on a highway. Were you in a car or were you walking?
No. I was in my, well, I mean, I guess I was in my truck. I mean, I know I was driving, but
Okay. All right.
yeah.
There we go. So yeah, so it's talking about removing something, eliminating something from your physical body that you're wanting to get rid of. When you go to your mother's house, of course, that represents your superconscious mind. And that's saying that there's something that you're addressing that, and because it's feminine, it's a receptive aspect of your spirituality that's also involved in this. So whatever it is, it's representing something that you're wanting to change, remove from your life, that has some sort of spiritual aspect to it. And then you said you walked into your mother's house and you came to see, you saw your sister, but before that you were looking
It
at
was my grandma. Well, I thought it was my mom's. My intention was for it to be my mom's, but then it was actually my grandmother's.
and so again, still super conscious energy happening there. You're at that level. And of course, the artwork is just creativity. It's representing inspiration in your life. And for your sister to say, what are you doing here? So, and your sister's alive, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just, I think, especially with the synchronicity involved, it began with you, and maybe these two things you can maybe share with us if they're connected, but it's involving you wanting to turn loose of something that has a real, has a meaning to you, that's very close to you. but that also your sister saying, what are you doing here? It's you were connected at that super conscious level where you were actually interacting and create this synchronicity was created as a result that led you the next day to go to this art show. When she said, what are you doing here? That meant to me, and intuitively, it also resonates that you were in a place energetically where you were tuned in with these artists and what was going on. I mean, it was part of what I was talking about earlier about this thing that time and space have no relativity in dreams, and therefore it's almost like a premonition.
Well, and it's funny because the art show was actually titled Another World.
Yeah. So that's what this was all about, was you tuning in. What is it, if you want to share, what is it that you're trying to eliminate from your life?
A negative family dynamic that happens when my sister and my mother and I are together, which has started happening very frequently because I moved to the city that my mother lives in, and my sister has started visiting quite a bit and staying for like lengths of time.
Yeah. And so this is why she's saying, what are you doing here? She's challenging you. But it could also, it's probably also you asking yourself, what am I doing here? This is, it's a really interesting dream, and especially with the synchronicity aspect to it. Yeah.
Well, and I had no idea what the art show was going to be. Honestly, I was on a trip with my dog and I wanted to show her the La Brea tar pits. And so we were just parked anyway. And then I just thought, oh gosh, I should just go in LACMA. It's raining and there's really nothing else to do today. She's ready for a nap in the truck and I'm just going to go see the art show. And when I walked in and saw it, I mean, it was absolutely bizarre. I called my mom from it because I told her about the dream after I had it. And I told her and showed her, because you're allowed to film now in museums, which is so strange. But I showed her, like, this is the actual art that I saw in my dream.
So what do you take from that? If there were a message for you, what would that be?
Well, I do feel very like tuned in. I do feel very cemented in my lane all of a sudden for the first time since I was a child. And I do feel quite a bit of resistance from my sister. My mom is pretty excited about it because she's watching it unfold, and she's real intuitive herself. She's never explored it. She's scared of it, but there's no denying it. And so she's seeing all these connections and things happening all of a sudden.
Well, there's definitely something for you to work with there. That synchronicity is incredible. It's fabulous.
Oh, well, thank you. Gosh, I didn't mean to take up so much time. It's been weighing on me though, this dream, because, it was just so wild, and the art and all that. And yeah.
Do you know what night that was, Raji? Did it happen to be Saturday night?
When I had the dream?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. I left for this trip on the 30th of January. And so the dream was the 28th or 9th.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. And then the art
Okay.
show I saw on the Monday, whatever that day was.
That's really cool because there's so many pieces, it's like all of the dreams showed up in one dream. So thank you for sharing that example. And I hope that's validation for you that you're absolutely eliminating the right thing and going forward to the right thing, because your subconscious mind brought it up for your awareness. I want to be sensitive to Victoria's time, and I know that she was willing to do too. And so, Sophia, you were the next person. Do you have a dream, or do you have a question that you want to run by Victoria?
Yes, I dream and I write my dreams down. So I just haven't gotten good at the decoding part yet, but I'll give you a snippet of one that's recent. My son and I, we were walking through a mall and all these birds started flying overhead, and Oliver pointed up and said, "Look up." a black crow, a black crow. He said it twice. Then we kind of went to this like adoption center, and there was these birds in cages, but in a few of the cages, there were some puppies and like maybe a cat. And I pulled out one of the dogs and put it back and looked at another one. But I just remembered I didn't want any more responsibility. Then the next day in real life, my mom on the group chat put a video of a black crow up. So another synchronicity. So of course I'm looking, what does a black crow mean? But it's interesting because my son, said the words twice and was like, look up and those sort of things. And yeah, so that was
Well, synchronicity. If we pay attention, we'll see it every day, and certainly coming in that dream that represents it, right? So your son, how would you describe him to me?
Very sensitive, kind, caring, compassionate.
So this is the aspect of you. It wasn't actually your son. You were dreaming about the kind, caring, compassionate aspect of you. And the bird does represent a habit. But it sounds like it's a good habit that you are pointing out, that your subconscious is pointing out. And then to walk into a store where there are caged animals and you're thinking, I just don't want any more. This is you looking at your habits that you have right now and recognizing that you have them under control, but that you really don't want to take on any more. So it's sounding like nothing is out of control, but that you're just needing, you really have found a balance or a way that everything is being managed at this point. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, and I do say in my waking life all the time, I don't want any more responsibilities, but it just was echoed in the dream as well.
Yes, very much so. I mean, that's exactly was there something in your previous day that was hinting at more responsibility?
I feel like every day it's like more responsibility coming my way, but maybe it's like my boundaries. I've been working on that. Like I can't take on anymore. I can't take on anymore, and just really kind of stepping back from everything.
Yep, that's what that dream is talking about. That the bird could also represent the fact that you really admire the freedom that the black crow has, right? But that's definitely talking about the fact that you've managed what you've got going, but you really don't want to take on any more.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
and that's just, again, there was probably something in your previous day that triggered that.
Well, it was during the ice storm, and I actually loved being like in the house, not having to do anything, not having to deal with the outside world. So that's kind of when it happened. So maybe it was like, hey, you like this,
Exactly. Well, our subconscious is always trying to help us. You can count on that. It is always trying to help us with, and we can consciously say, I want to achieve this. And our subconscious will do everything it can to make that happen. And that creates that circuit of dreams, right? Because then our subconscious then starts telling us in our dreams, okay, if you want this, here's what you have to do to achieve it.
Interesting. Just real quick too, Oliver's dad died like a year and a half ago, and I've had so many dreams where he's still alive, and we'll talk in the dream and say like, how are we going to tell people you're still alive? How are we going to tell the judge this? Or like one time we were at his funeral and he sat up and everyone in the room was shocked but me, like I still knew he was alive. So that's another reoccurring.
So that's probably a visitation. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that it's your husband telling you that, his spirit lives on. It's a reassuring kind of dream that you understand that in some way his energy is still there and with you and communicating with you. Those sound like visitation dreams for sure.
I mean, that's what I took it as. I just was curious. So thank you so much.
That's an awesome example. Thanks for sharing. Okay, I don't think we have time for another analysis, but I know we still have a few people on. Corey, D, or Kendra, do you guys have questions for Victoria before we wrap up? Anything that you want to share or get some insight on? Feel free.
Yeah, this is Kendra. I do have a question because it was a very long time ago when I was in high school, and I was kind of explaining a dream to a friend, and I said, and then I was reading out of this book, and then the girl was like, no, you couldn't have been reading. And I was like, no, but I was reading out of the book. She said, no, you can't read in dreams. You can't read in dreams. And so I always had this idea of like, can you read in dreams? Do people read in dreams? Are you allowed to read in dreams? But I vividly kind of remember, like, no, I was reading.
Of course you can read in dreams.
Yeah, I was like, is there something that I don't know that I'm like, you're not supposed to read in dreams? You can't read in dreams?
No. And you can see road signs, you see numbers, of course you can read in dreams. People, everybody will have their own ideas about dreams, and I am open to listen to anyone and everyone. After this amount of time, after 30 years of doing this, I've pretty well formed my own ideas that I'm a skeptic in a lot of ways, but when something is proven to me to my own satisfaction, enough for me to share it with other people, I'm pretty certain about it. And of course I use my intuition to validate things, but people have ideas about dreams, and I can tell you that I've read in dreams. I've seen road signs in dreams. I've actually learned about an animal from a dream because the name was there. And I went and Googled it, and I'm like, oh, okay. It was some sort of weird viper that lives, in Tasmania or something. I can't remember now, but, and what does that mean for me? Well, vipers, snakes represent life force energy. They represent regeneration. So yeah, of course you can read in dreams.
It was always just one of those weird things that I was just always like, are you not supposed to read? Am I reading gibberish? Maybe it's gibberish and you think you're reading, but you're not reading. I was like, no, I think you're reading. So, a fun decipher on a dream. And actually as a tip, because I'm one of those people who wake up and just forget, like I'm trying to get better about doing voice memos or recording. Are there any kind of strategies to remember?
That's a great question. So, couple of things. One, if you drink a lot of water before you go to bed, then you're probably going to have to get up, and you'll probably wake up at the end of one of those dream cycles. And so when you get up, take your phone and hit that voice app as you're going to the bathroom, and just begin rattling off anything and everything that you are remembering. Another way, consciously during our waking life, we can, this is what Dr. Condren taught me when I was studying at the School of Metaphysics, and that is, be very aware and present in your moment of right now of what's going on around you. And, don't multitask. Multitasking is like the worst thing to try and remember your dreams. But by creating the good habits in your conscious waking state, you'll be able to remember more of your dreams. And it really does work that way. And then as you're going to sleep at night, tell yourself, either out loud or to yourself, I want to remember my dreams. I want to remember my dreams in detail. I want to remember what I'm dreaming tonight, whatever works for you. And if you begin doing that regularly, you'll begin remembering your dreams. You will be amazed at the detail and the number of dreams you'll be able to remember.
And then you'll be more psychic.
It's like, yeah, I wake up, oh my gosh, I know it's like, it just escapes me. Like, and I'm like, oh, but I went somewhere, and it has to be a really dramatic, something like that almost wakes a waking dream. Then I had literally once or twice in my life. And then it's like, when I had that waking dream, I wrote it immediately down, but it's like, I don't really get like, oh, I woke up, I had this dream, and I'm trying to recall throughout the day, and then it's gone. And it's so, I'll try some of those strategies. Thank you.
They really do work. I mean, absolutely, they really do. It takes persistence. Dee has a quick question. She wanted to ask about the space between sleep and waking. What is that called again? You used a term.
Hypnagogia. You're hypnagogic at that, and it's two Greek words. Hypno means sleep, and gogic is leading, or it's the other way around. Anyway, it's like leading, literally leading into sleep, leading out of sleep. Some people call it twilight. You know, it's that phase where some people will, as you're drifting off to sleep, you'll see faces. My husband sees random kind of faces pop up. I get these random thoughts that just make no sense, but it's just things that start coming to you as you're drifting off to sleep.
Yes, this is Dee. I get a lot of activity there, and lately in the morning, and it is flashes going fast. Like the last one, the only piece I could retain was red 44. What is that? You know, but I get.
You should
Go
pay
ahead.
attention to that. You should absolutely pay attention to that. You know, numerology also comes into play when you dream of numbers. So, and then of course the color red. Well, Tiffany can tell you about colors and all of this. She's really tuned into that. But
yeah.
it all
Maybe again, I don't like the color. I love the color red, but I don't like the symbology to me of red, because it just seems like there's always something, you know, the accounts are draining, whether it's health or finance, whatever. But I've come up with quite a bit of information there over the years, some psychic, some just figuring things out. And I super enjoy it. And then I used to have the faces going to sleep, just face after face after face. I don't have them. Every now and then I get the eye again, sometimes eyes close up, coming in and out. Haven't had that for a while, but was looking for that word, hypnagogic. I love it. Thank you.
And also, Dee, I'll just say that this book, it's called Color in Health and Disease. You have to get it from the Spiritualist National Union in Europe. You have to pay through PayPal. It's not expensive, but this is like, to me, this is the Bible on color. And red actually is what is Christ consciousness. It's not just all of the negative things that, you know, we could think of with red. So there's a lot of really good, juicy health, like orange is one of the colors of health, which you wouldn't think. There's so much to it. But I do have to go, guys, and I appreciate you so much, Victoria. I cannot wait to send this out to the replay to the rest of our group and our members. I will, of course, I've included it in the chat, but I'm going to include your book references and your website. I feel like I'm so glad that I was able to keep my questions to a minimum because I really enjoyed learning from everybody else too. But you have a lot of positive comments in the chat. So everybody said, thank you so much. And Sophia, there were like 4 books that she recommended. Did you just say one that I missed?
The ones that I recommended, and by the way, if you guys want,
the color book.
If you guys want information about, I mean, if you want to work with me on your dreams, or I teach people how to interpret their dreams one-on-one, you can always contact me and I'm happy to do that. So the book references, number 1, the Dreamer's Dictionary. Actually, I have it right here. This is my mentor, Dr. Barbara Condren. It's full of dream symbols decoded. The scientific book, When Brains Dream, Antonio Zadra and Robert Stickgold. And then the dream incubation came from Michael Clerk. It's called Dream Guidance, Connecting to the Soul Through Dream Incubation.
Perfect. Okay. Well, this has been amazing, and we hope to have you back, Victoria. There, like you said, each one could be a lecture, so I really appreciate it. And I'm going to take some of your tips tonight and fall asleep listening to a foreign language. So I think that's awesome.
Yes,
And,
yes, yes. Thank you, Tiffany. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I know you put a lot of effort and time into it, and heart and wisdom, and your experience has just really been wonderful. So thank you, and I love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Tiffany.
You guys so welcome. My pleasure.